Hi everyone, welcome back to Life Technologies YouTube channel, and thank you so much for watching and supporting our content. So this is another episode of our Huawei switch configuration series, and in this episode we will be demonstrating to you how to implement port security protect actions on Huawei switches. So in our last episode we demonstrated how to configure port security and why you need to implement port security on switches in your network. So port security, this is a security feature that help us to control who have access or which networking device have access to the ports on the switches. So it's always best practice to consider the security of our network, and you need to implement such features like port security to ensure that we improve on the network security. So when you implement network security, you need to specify the action to be performed on the packets that are coming in with the MAC address that is not allowed. So there are three actions. We have the restrict, which discards packets with warning. So they will restrict action will discard the packets that are coming in with the wrong MAC address, and it will give you a warning on the device. Then we have the protect. So the protect action will silently discard the packets that are coming in with the wrong MAC address. And then we have the shutdown action. So with the shutdown action, whenever you receive a packet with the wrong MAC address, you disable the port. So these are the three main actions that are performed on the packets that are not coming in with the correct MAC address that has been learned on that port. So on Huawei switches, the restrict action is the default action. So you will be receiving warnings whenever you have packets that are coming in with the wrong MAC address. But you can also specify the protect action or the shutdown action when you are implementing port security on your switches. So we have this setup that we used in our last episode. We'll be using the same setup. So we have our switch 1, which is like the aggregation switch. We have the access switch, switch 2, and then we have user devices, PC1 to PC5, that is connected to the switch. So what we will be doing is we will be implementing port security on these ports just for PC1, PC2, and PC3 so that we can demonstrate the three actions that can be performed whenever we have a mismatch in the MAC address or whenever we have a change in the MAC address that is coming in from the user device. So this is the topology setup, a very simple topology just to demonstrate this feature, and then we'll go ahead and discuss other advanced features on Huawei switches. So before we jump into the topology, just a request that if you are watching this video and you are yet to subscribe to our channel, kindly support our channel by hitting that subscribe button. Also remember to share and to comment and also to like this video. So this is the topology setup on ENSP. So we have already configured the VLAN if interface and the VLANs on switch 1. If I display VLAN, you can see that we have VLAN 100 and it has this Ethernet 001. If I display IP interface brief, you can see that we have this IP address configured 100.100.100.254 configured on VLAN if 100. On this switch, we will configure the access ports. You can see that we are looking at 001, 003, and 004. So on 001, you can see that we have configured this port as an access port. We've specified the default VLAN to be 100. We've enabled port security, and we have also enabled the sticky MAC addresses. On 003, we have also done the same. On 004, we have also configured it as access port, configure the default VLAN, and enable the port security. So on the PC, if I were to PC1, we have PC1, PC2, and PC3. So let's start by checking the MAC address that have been learned on this port, so on this router, on this switch, display ARP all. You can see that we have learned 100.100.100.1, that is 29.5e, dot 2.3. So let's check the MAC address configured on the PCs. 29.5e, this is for PC1. We check 29.5e.1, so that is the old MAC address. So it normally takes time to refresh. Let's check this one. 29.5e54 98.47 29.5e. So we can just copy this MAC address so that we have the correct MAC address on this 001, because it takes time to refresh. Let's try to ping. So this is, we can check on switch 2. Still not going through. We need to check the MAC address again. Display ARP all. 100.1, it's this MAC address. Then we have .2.3. Let's insert the ping again. So it's still timing out. Let's check the configuration on Ethernet 0/0/1. Display this. This one looks okay. I can shut down this interface and unshut. Undo shutdown just to make it to relearn the MAC address again. Let's try with PC4. It will take time to refresh the MAC address table. So on PC4, you can see that PC4 has BF. Let me check the configuration on 005. Interface gigabit Ethernet. Display this. We don't have the configuration, so let me just copy these configurations and paste on this interface. And we can try to ping from PC4. So PC4 ping 100.100.100.254 -T, so that it's continuous. So you can see that we are able to ping from PC4 to, and you can see that on this switch we haven't specified any action. So by default, I mentioned that the default action is to restrict. So it will do what? It will discard the packets with a warning. So to demonstrate this, what we can do is I will go ahead and change the MAC address of this PC. I will just change 5F. I can put it to be 4F and then apply. When I apply, I go back to this switch 1. We give it some time. We expect to get a warning. So I will initiate a new ping. And now on the switch, you can see that we are getting a notification or a warning. The number of MAC address on the interface Ethernet 005 has reached the limit, and you can see that by default we have this restrict action. So we have restrict, protect, shut down. Currently the one in action is restrict, and it has taken effect, and now we are getting notification on the switches that we have an interface. This is interface Ethernet 005, and the action has been restrict. So the warning will keep coming on the device, and then you are able to detect that you you have a new device connecting on that port that is not allowed. Only one MAC address has been allowed. So this one confirm that the restrict action is in place. But when you check, you can see that it's not configured on the port because this is the default action. So the second action is to protect, and I've mentioned that protect action will discard the packet silently. So when you check PC2, if I ping, you can see that we can ping continuously. If I go to this interface, quit, interface Ethernet 0/0/3, display this, I will configure port security, protect action. I will set the protect action to protect. So it will discard the packets. So you can see that our ping is still going through okay. And now if I come here and change the MAC address to 64, apply, you can see that we already have timeouts and the switch doesn't do anything. The switch doesn't tell us anything. It will just discard the packet silently. You can see that we are still getting the ones for restrict, but we are not able to get any warning or any notification that we are dropping the packets. So the packets from PC2 will be dropped silently. Even if I initiate a new ping, the switch will just discard the packet silently and no notification or no warning or no alarm will be shown on the switch. So the third action is to shut down. So whenever you configure the shutdown action, it means whenever a switch receives a packet that is not conforming with the rules or the MAC address that has been learned in the MAC address table, then it will shut down the interface. So to demonstrate this, we'll use PC3 as example. So we are doing a continuous ping from PC3 on this Ethernet 004. So you can see that this is bringing an alarm, port security alarm action. This is still for PC4. We are now on Ethernet 004. I'll configure port security, protect action, shut down. So when you configure this action to shut down, the switch will shut down the port, but you need to manually unshut down the port. So whenever you do this, you need to be there for you to be able to make changes on the switch so that you can allow packets to go through. So the ping is still going through. What I can do is I will change this one, the MAC address to 2B, apply. So we expect the packets to start dropping, but for me to be able to execute that action, I will just initiate a new ping. And now you see that the port has gone down. When you check the configurations on this Ethernet 004, you will find the shutdown command. Display this, you can see that we have the shutdown command has been configured on this port. And now the port is down. If I display interface Ethernet 0/0/4, you can see that the port is administratively down. So whenever this action happens, you always have to, and you maybe it's a device that you want to allow to access the switch, or the correct device has connected back to the switch, you all need to come back and undo shutdown manually. So I can take back the MAC address to 1C, apply, check the command again. If I initiate the ping, it will take time to clear, but after some time it should be able to continue. The ping should go through without any problem after the timeout for the MAC address learning. So these are the three actions that are normally performed whenever you've configured the port security. I mentioned that we have a restrict, which will discard packets without warning. We have the protect that will silently discard the packets, and then we have the shutdown that will disable the port. So you just need to use the same command whenever you are configuring it. You use the command port security, then protect action. You can see that you have protect, you have restrict, you have shutdown. So you can select whichever action that you want to configure. The only problem with shutdown is that you have to manually unshut down the port. You have to manually enable the port for it to be able to continue carrying any traffic. So you can always configure any action depending on the requirements of your company, but these are the three available: protect, restrict, and shut down. I hope you've enjoyed this session, and if done so, kindly like it, share, and also leave a comment after watching this video. Thank you so much, and see you in our next episode.